Hey guys, Nautical here with an early morning recording of my Battlefield 1 open beta impressions. Now, for years I've waited for the first-person shooter genre to take a step back, which they're finally doing, and I'm really happy about this. You know, gone are the days of jetpacks and laser rifles from Call of Duty, and the F-35s being blown to bits from surface and air missiles from Battlefield. This one's brought us back to World Wars. World War One, specifically. But this time there's a lot less misery than the actual World War.
We have taken objective Duff.
Now, the open beta was released to the public a few days ago, and I have managed to sneak in a few matches when the servers aren't either being overloaded or taken down by, what is it, Poodle Squad, Poodle Snoodle, whoever the hell says they're taking it down now, when it's probably just server overload. And so far, I'm really impressed by the graphics, the gameplay, the visuals. The whole package is fantastic. You know, I did have some concerns at first, you know, being a World War I title, and I haven't played any games for World War I yet. I've seen gameplay of Verdun, and that was great. But, you know, my big concern was that, you know, during this time period, automatic weapons were typically emplaced or in very early developmental stages, which had me concerned that this game would be purely bolt-action rifles and, you know, early semi-automatic handguns, which is a rational, you know, fear, because that wouldn't make for the greatest gameplay. But you can see here the developers have done a huge amount of research, and it's quite obvious. They've pulled some very unknown rifles from history into the game. So instead of just, you know, your Mosin Nagants and your Mauser action rifles dominating the battlefield like they did, you know, we actually have some machine guns, semi-auto rifles, some, you know, early stage LMGs, and they feel perfect. They really did their research here. So guns feel exactly the way they should too, which is even better. They each feel very different. From bolt actions to semi-autos. They're all deadly too, which is a really satisfying feeling. I mean, you get one headshot most of the time, and you just get this brilliant flash of gore, and your enemy just hits the dirt. And it's wonderful. And if you're using a submachine gun or a support class weapon, you'll actually see the spread of your machine gun fire in probably the most realistic depiction we've seen yet. I mean, if you're, you know, 20 yards away, you're fucked with a submachine gun. I'm not lying here. You'll see some of this footage. They've definitely fixed the Battlefield 4 problem of being shot by a UMP-45 from like 200 yards away and made the submachine guns suffer at anything more than that, you know, 20, 30 yards, which brings a lot more, like, desperation to combat, which means, you know, each more shot. I can't talk. I'm trying to drink my coffee here. Sorry. Each shot needs to be really accurately placed, and you really need to do short, controlled bursts, or you're just going to find yourself spitting magazines and just getting your ass kicked. It's great. Now, also due to the combat mechanics here, I'm going to try and get a segment of this in here, is the bayonet charge, which is brutal and addicting. Now, more than once, trying to get used to the new guns, I constantly am running out of ammo. Not like totally running out, but just dumping my magazine, being an idiot. Which normally spells out death, especially in like Battlefield 4. You had to drop your mag, you were typically dead, even if you swapped to your sidearm. But now with the bayonet charge, unless you have someone who's been playing this a lot, or they're just really quick with the reflexes, it's hard to notice until it's too late. I mean, you just start sprinting and plunge your bayonet right through them in this great animation. But at the same time, even though you can do it, you can easily find yourself on the other end of the spear, swearing up and down. And honestly, it's your own fault if you get yourself killed by it, because you see them running from 10 yards away, and you're too busy dicking around trying to figure out what to do. And it's so satisfying. And as of right now, I don't think there's a counterattack for this. They might add it in later, or maybe my timing is just horrible. But it doesn't seem like the knife from Battlefield 4, where you can just switch it around on people. But we'll see what they do with that. Now, in typical Battlefield fashion, vehicles are also going to be here. And the best part is they're period-appropriate combat vehicles, which is very satisfying. The tanks in this game are way overpowered. Same with the armored train that we have here in Cyanide Desert. If you get on one of the turrets in one of those things, you're nearly indestructible. Yeah, there's anti-tank weapons, but for right now, they feel really overpowered. I mean, I was able to go on a 4, 5, 6 kill streak inside a turret, which was just sort of excessive. And if they really wanted to be perfect, you know, every foot soldier could outrun a tank if they wanted to be period correct. But, you know, they're taking creative liberties here, which is understandable, as a big, slow tank is not going to be fun to play as, and you just be a sitting target for anti-tank grenades. Plane combat, also really solid. You know, instead of these, you know, fast, light jets that we have now, even though they still weigh a shit ton, you feel the weight and sluggishness of these planes. They're the exact opposite of the jets from BF4 and BF3. So instead of, you know, zooming around, doing loops, slinging missiles, and, you know, explosive rounds, you're going to do these wide arcs to, you know, trying just to avoid the aircraft guns. And ground troops, too. They can actually use small arms and, like, literally rip pieces off your plane, which causes the flight controls, like your control surfaces on the aircraft, they'll actually fall apart, you know, making your plane less maneuverable, which will force you to either jump or just die. So you really are limited in your options in flight, but it's actually fantastic. But it doesn't leave you helpless, which is even better. So if you do find yourself being shot at from behind, you might have someone else spawn in your plane and they can use the tail gun, or just sort of, you know, hold as straight and level as a flight as you can. And by pressing X, your character will actually jump into the back seat of the aircraft, where you can control the tail gun to give yourself a fighting chance, which is really awesome. I mean, the first time I did that, I was like, this is amazing. I didn't capture any good footage of it. I only did it once, and it was very short, but it was enough to get the guy off my back, which was cool. Excuse my nose here. The coffee in the morning, oof, this is rough. But yeah, if you spawn into a plane and you have to crash land or bail out, definitely don't expect to find yourself with a typical loadout. This must be intended, I'm guessing. But instead of your normal rifle or submachine gun, whatever you picked, you're given this really weak rifle. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't learned all the gun names yet. And another small handgun, which gives you this really slim chance of survival in head-to-head combat. That could just be me sucking, but it seemed like this rifle didn't do a whole lot of damage. So instead, you have to find an enemy, kill him silently, you know, sneak up to him, do whatever you gotta do, take their kit, and then move on. And that adds this great bit of tension to where if you do have to ditch your plane, you feel like you would have, you know, or, you know, an idea what it would be like to have to ditch your plane in combat back in the day. And instead of motorcycles and ATVs, we have horses, which is really interesting. Personally, I fucking hate the horses, mainly because I get killed by them all the time. You know, you get these dudes on horseback with swords who just come by, slice your head off, and keep moving, which is, you know, it's kind of a dickish move. But aside from that, they're kind of cool to deal with. You can, you know, kill the horse. They do have a lot of health, but you can kill the horse and the rider will die. Or the other time, just shoot the rider. They're not protected, so you can actually get them off pretty good. It's not that hard, but it's definitely addicting. But horses, they're good for a quick A to B movement, but I wouldn't recommend rushing into combat on them, especially if there's tanks or planes around. You're just a giant target. Now, you know, I shouldn't need to say much about the graphics again from this video. You could probably tell EA, they're not letting the graphics fall by the wayside. You know, they're using, I'm pretty sure that same engine from Battlefront, which was a beautiful looking game even though it was sparse on content. But remember, this game, it's still in beta form, and it is an EA DICE game, so there's a ton of glitches here. I've seen the melting characters glitch, kind of like we'd see in Call of Duty 4, where, you know, you get like spaghetti limbs and necks when characters die, which, you know, it's just sort of a goofy, you know, graphical glitch, which will probably be fixed sooner or later. And then we have these really irritating glitches with the tanks. The tanks are really broken right now. I have seen on more than one occasion, and I'll put this in the video, you're riding in a tank, and this usually happens with a full crew. You'll just be driving along, and then, bam, your tank will just disappear as you're driving it. It didn't get blown up, it didn't despawn, or sorry, no, it did just despawn. It's weird, and it just forces your squad to have to walk to the next objective. And this is horrible if it happens, like, if you're in a giant group or trying to take over a base, because all of a sudden, your turtle shell is gone, and then you can just get blown up. But, you know, it's a beta. These things, you know, they're looking for them, and hopefully, probably they'll be fixed by October. And more than that, so I'd rather have them worry about the server issues, have a steadier launch than Battlefield 4 did when that came out. But overall, I'm definitely looking forward to this game. It's very impressive with the little that I've seen so far, and as a fan of the Battlefield style of gameplay, I definitely am seeing this being a day one buy for myself, and probably for a lot of other fans of the series, but, you know, that's just my opinion. So what do you guys think? If you've played the open beta, definitely let me know. Really let me know if you were in the closed alpha, and if you were, have they changed anything yet? I'm really curious if they've started to either take things out, put more things in, because there's a huge list of guns, and I wonder if those are all final or not. But leave a comment down below, I'll make sure to reply. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.